Hey, it's Abdullah. Inside this box is the last Nokia Communicator device released, and it's the first E-series device to make the jump to Symbian 3. Of course, I'm talking about the Nokia E7, which was announced in September 2010 and it came out in around February 2011. This is technically the final Communicator successor before the form factor was cancelled. So let's talk about its quirks and features as well as its flaws for the time. So let's start with the quirks. The E7 came in a fully anodized aluminum body, and I think it looks impressive even today. Honestly, the hardware quality is just superb. This thing feels like a tank, and I also think it actually looks a bit better than even the Nokia N8. The phone has a full QWERTY keyboard that you can access by pushing the display downwards, which opens the display at an angle, revealing the QWERTY keyboard. This angle also makes it perfect for productivity and for viewing content while the phone is lying down on a table. Very cool. The buttons on the keyboard are also very nice and clicky, and the opening and closing mechanism was very satisfying. The front of the E7 had a 4-inch AMOLED display, and it obviously was a capacitive touchscreen as well. Nokia also used clear black display, which added a polarizing filter to the display and made the blacks look super black. And that also helped with contrast, and it had the best viewing angles in the business. For its time, of course. There is also a breathing notification light that was integrated into the centered menu button. The back housed an 8-megapixel camera. However, this is not a traditional 8-megapixel camera. This was known for its time as EDOF, which had an infinite focus range and made taking pictures very easy. Well, at least landscape pictures. So there was no autofocus on this camera. And this camera was also capable of shooting 720p video at 25 frames per second, and it was later updated to support 30 frames per second. And just like the N8, the E7 also had a mini HDMI port for 720p TV out, which was located at the top of the phone. The phone also came with a single rear-facing powerful speaker. Definitely not as loud as the N8, but still pretty loud. It also utilized a slider for the lock and unlock mechanism. But the designers went a step further and even implemented a slider for the volume rocker keys. So you slide up to increase the volume and you slide down to decrease the volume. The E7 supported USB on the go. So using a dongle, you could connect a USB directly to the E7 and access all of its content within the software. The E7 also had an always on display, so it could show you the time and the date even when the screen was off. So let's talk about the software. The Nokia E7 came out with Symbian 3, which was later updated to Symbian Anna and then to Symbian Belle. And this unit I have over here is running on the final version of Symbian Belle, which was called Symbian Belle Refresh. You could rearrange the icons freely on the home screen without having to stick to a predefined grid. You could also have different arrangements for landscape or portrait home screens. Every home screen could utilize a different wallpaper. And one of the key benefits of Symbian was that it ran well and efficiently even on mid-range hardware. It was still capable of powerful multitasking even with 256 megabytes of RAM. The phone even utilized Nokia Maps, which allowed free turn-by-turn navigation, at a time when this feature wasn't very common even on Android. You could set individual profiles and customize them. If you want to go into meeting mode, you can set how loud the ringtone will be, whether you want to enable vibration or not, and when it would work. You could even create your own profile. And of course, Symbian is very customizable, so it enabled you to utilize third-party themes that were downloaded from the store or from external sources. And it wouldn't be a Nokia without all the built-in content creation applications and useful multimedia features. So you had Nokia Music out of the box, you also had a video editor, a photo editor, and so on. And naturally, the Nokia E7 was focused on productivity, so it came out with a lot of pre-installed apps that would help in this regard. Things such as Adobe Reader, Quick Office, an audio recorder, a files manager, a notes application, and so on. So let's talk about some of the weaknesses that were present on the E7 that were relevant for its time. I would say a lot of these issues are very similar to what I covered with the N8, but with very slight differences. So for a start, Symbian 3 was quite buggy at launch, and luckily it got updated to Symbian Anna and then Symbian Bell, which helped fix most of these issues. However, the web browser until the very end just offered a horrible user experience. It wasn't particularly fast, smooth, or rendered the pages in the best way possible. And the overall user experience, despite all of the updates, just wasn't as smooth as what Android and iOS were offering for its time. You can even see it here when you're just scrolling in the menu. The internals weren't considered as powerful as the top-of-the-line Android devices for its time. And of course, the App Store was very weak compared to Android and iOS when it comes to applications. And while the EDOF 8-megapixel camera definitely had its strengths, particularly when you're trying to capture landscape images, you just couldn't take pictures of close-ups or documents, which is a big flaw for a practical, productivity-oriented device like the E7. The phone also didn't have an SD memory slot to expand the built-in storage, which was an option that was present on the Nokia N8. And finally, the phone also came with the exact same battery capacity as the N8, which was a 1200 mAh battery capacity, but it also utilized a bigger screen. So the battery life wasn't as good as the Nokia N8. I personally owned the Nokia E7 for a very brief period of time, and I absolutely loved utilizing the keyboard, even though I didn't feel like the software fully utilized this form factor the same way previous communicators did. Because the software was practically exactly the same as what the N8 offered, and not like how special the S90 versions of Symbian were on previous communicators. However, that doesn't mean that I didn't fall in love with the E7, and it all really came down to just the superb design and hardware. It's just a very beautiful kind of design that just feels like a proper tank. It's very hard not to fall in love with the hardware of this thing. And I think it even holds up quite well even today. Definitely a huge step up compared to most of its competitors when it comes to build quality and materials. And that screen was just gorgeous for its time. Anyways, that's it from me. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, please don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. It honestly really makes a huge difference for the channel. So I really appreciate every person who takes the time to like and subscribe to the channel. So if you want to support the channel, please don't forget to do that. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.